So these are my favorite tech finds that are all available on Amazon. These are products that I use pretty much daily and are all very high quality. First is the Audeze Maxwell, and these have been the gaming headphones I've used for the last few months. These have been out for a while, but I'm really glad I was able to get my hands on these. I will say that they're pricey. You're looking at spending about $300 for these, but personally, I think they're worth it. I use these mainly to play single player games, but the occasional game of COD, the finals, or more recently Deadlock has been great. What drew me to them initially was their sleek design, as a lot of gaming headphones tend to have a look to them. These though are the opposite of that. That paired with them being wireless had me really interested to try them out. They are a heavy pair of headphones which took some getting used to coming from my Bear Dynamic ones, which are a lot lighter in comparison. Now that I've had and used them for a decent while, the weight isn't an issue for me, and I find that these are really comfortable. The sound quality is probably their biggest selling point, and from reviews I've seen people tend to either love or hate how they sound, but myself as a casual gamer honestly, who cares more to feel immersed, these sound perfect. Last weekend I played a ton of Black Mesa, the Half-Life remake, for like 4 hours straight with these on, and it was a ton of fun. They never felt uncomfortable, and listening to that soundtrack sounded great with these on. Now as for the microphone, the built-in one honestly doesn't sound too great, but they also do include a small boom mic you can plug into it, though I have no idea where that is now. All that said though, I think if you're looking to get a more premium end headset for either PC or console gaming, these are definitely worth checking out, and with ordering them from Amazon, you can easily return them if the sound isn't for you. Next, while I game, the mouse I've landed on is the Razer Basilisk V3 Pro. After trying close to a dozen mice up to last year, I finally settled with the Basilisk because the ergonomic shape is really comfortable and the mouse buttons feel great. There's an obsession for lightweight mice, and maybe if you're a super competitive gamer it's worth it, but for me, when I'm playing a game like Black Mesa, I'm more concerned with feeling comfortable, and that's what this mouse does for me. It weighs in at 112 grams, which is on the heavy side, but I've never found that the weight of the mouse really affected how I played. If you have the MX Master, this has a similar shape and the same scroll wheel effect, which lets you unlock the wheel and scroll multiple lines in seconds. The texture on the mouse wheel and the sides of the mouse are very grippy, which help make it feel better to use. Now, the next item is something that might be useful for your gaming PC if you have a lot of USB-C accessories. The Audeze Maxwell connects over a USB-C dongle, but I also have an SSD enclosure that I use when working in Unreal Engine that also uses USB-C to plug in. The problem is that the USB-C ports on my motherboard weren't powering either the SSD or headphones, but I have a ton of extra USB-A ports. To solve this, I found these USB-A adapters that let you use USB-C accessories with any of your USB-A ports. This has worked perfectly for me, and for $9, I'm very happy with these. Do note that you will be limiting the power and speed output using these. You're limited to 10 gigabits per second transfer speeds and 18 watts of charging, so just make sure that's enough for whatever you want to be using. Next, let me tell you about this video's sponsor, Skillshare. As some of you may know, I work in web development, but this fall, I've been wanting to dive more into game development with Unreal Engine 5, and the classes and learning paths on Skillshare make it easy. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives that has thousands of classes taught by industry experts in film, illustration, design, freelance, productivity, and more. Skillshare can help take your career, skills, hobbies, passions, or side hustles to the next level. If you don't know where to start, Skillshare's learning paths are curated, sequential class collections designed to master a specific skill. Skillshare offers classes in a variety of different categories such as development, design, photography, and content creation. When I was first getting started on YouTube, one class that I really enjoyed was from Marques Brownlee called YouTube Success, Script, Shoot, and Edit with MKBHD. This class is now a part of one of Skillshare's newest class topics called Creative Career, where you can learn everything you need to know to start creating content, build your personal brand, and more. You can even filter these classes by software if there's a specific editing tool you want to use, for example. The first 500 people that use my link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare, so get started now. Now, stepping away from my gaming desk and looking to my workspace, the MX Vertical is a mouse I picked up after watching Alier's video. He wasn't using this exact mouse, but another similar one from Logitech, and it made me finally pull the trigger. This is definitely not a mouse for everyone and will take some getting used to, but I find this to be a lot more comfortable to work with than even the MX Master. Your hand sits in a very natural feeling position, and clicking the mouse buttons is great. I connected over Bluetooth to both my personal and work laptops, and I've never had any connection issues. Its shape makes it harder to travel with, but just having it at my desk throughout the day, I love it. Underneath the mouse, I have a desk mat from a company called Nordic, and this was a cheap product that I wasn't expecting much from, to be honest, but for 20 bucks, this is a very quality mat. It's of course not going to be real leather, but I haven't found that to be an issue at all. It looks great on my wooden desktop, feels nice to the touch, and smooth for my mouse to glide across. It also does a great job at preventing your keyboard from slipping. Speaking of my keyboard, the one I have here is the MX Keys Mini. I picked this up purely to have when I travel, but I still use it every now and again while at home as it's a nice keyboard to type on. The design is incredibly slim, so it can fit into a bag easily, but the travel is similar to the MacBook Pro, which I've always liked. The battery life is also incredibly good. I've had it for months and don't think I charged it once. So pretty much whenever I work on the Mac, it's docked up using the peripherals I've mentioned, and sitting on top of this laptop stand from Rain Design. This was something I picked up from Amazon randomly a few months back, but it's been one of my favorite purchases by far. I've mentioned it a number of times now on the channel, but I think it's worth mentioning again just because of how good it is. I work on a single ultrawide and find this to be a lot better than the dual ones I had previously, but that said, I do like keeping my MacBook's lid open to function as a secondary and not super obtrusive display. I mainly keep Slack or YouTube here during the day just to keep things that I want quick access to. The stand also elevates the Mac so that it's more ergonomic to look at, and it can be something you use even if you don't have a monitor. Now, when I dock up my laptop, I've always been a big fan of Thunderbolt docks, and the one I've been using since earlier in the year is the CalDigit TS4. It provides 98 watts of charging, which is enough to power the Mac without ever losing a charge. It can also have data transfer speeds up to 40 gigabits per second, so when I have my SSD hooked up, I'm able to quickly transfer footage. The dock in total has 18 ports, including the SD and microSD slots, 5 USB-A ports, 6 USB-C ports, one of which is the host port, DisplayPort 1.4, Ethernet, combo audio jack, and audio in-out ports. This dock does run you $400, which is a lot of money, but I think you get what you pay for here, and this is something you're not gonna have to replace anytime soon. The build quality is phenomenal, and I've never had any problems with it. This gives me all the ports I need to power everything on top of my desk and easily swap between my two laptops. Now, these next items aren't tech, but are things that I think are worth considering adding to your home office. I've picked up a variety of different wooden accessories recently, first being these coasters, which are super simple, but I like to have a water and coffee on my desk without making a mess, so these come in clutch. I also have a wooden pen holder, which is super aesthetic and great to have for when I want to jot things down on paper. Lastly, I have a wooden valet tray that I love to just dump my phone, wallet, and keys onto when I get home. The final product is this year's updated Echo Spot, which I never thought we'd see again. I've had the original in my setup for years at this point, and it's by far the product I get asked about the most. I love it because it is so simple. It's really just a nice looking smart alarm clock. It's easy to check the time or weather throughout the day and set reminders for when I get back to the desk. So these were some of my favorite Amazon tech finds recently. Let me know down below something you've picked up recently that you think I should have mentioned. If you enjoyed this video, you'll want to watch this one next, where I talk about some other tech purchases, not just from Amazon, that have honestly improved my life. Thanks for watching, and take care.